We're talking about what happens when a house goes on the market and it doesn't sell. What causes that? What can we do differently to cause one of those homes that's been on the market for 6 months, 12 months, sometimes years, and actually get a deal done, actually sell it without just dropping the price drastically? Because that's, I think so many people automatically go to, oh, well, you must have really reduced the price. In many instances, no, we don't. We don't need to. It was an issue of positioning. It was an issue of marketing. It was an issue of the agent really just not doing much of anything. And that's what you get so much in a market where new agents are being added to the roster faster than the real estate commission can keep pace. It literally, from the time that you take your 60-hour course until the time that you take your test, from that moment, it's taking about 3 months for agents to get licensed. That usually is a few-week process. They are so understaffed and oversaturated with people that want to be real estate agents that is just creating this huge backlog for the South Carolina Real Estate Commission. But for the consumers out there, for the people that want to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, every time we add one of these agents that does a deal or two with a friend or neighbor or someone to go to church with or someone at work, a lot of these folks have full-time jobs and they're just using their real estate license to maybe help somebody they know buy, sell, or invest in real estate. Now, granted, you as a consumer, yeah, you have a relationship with that person. You know them already. But are they offering you the best? Are they giving you your best chance at selling for the most amount of money in the quickest amount of time with the least amount of stress? I would say in many instances, and again, this is just me being blunt, but that's just how I roll. If you've been listening to me over the past 8 years, you know that I don't really pull many punches. There is no way a part-time agent can even come close to comparing to what my real estate team does when we list and sell properties. It's night and day. Agents that, we have a $50,000 marketing budget every month. I mean, there's a lot that goes into what we do to market our properties for sale. And so when I see these properties that hit the market, and you can just tell that they're overpriced, and you can tell that they skimped on photography, and it's just not positioned that well, then it's going to be one of those homes that's going to sit around, or it's going to be one of those homes where the buyer looks at it and they say, okay, well, maybe here's my opportunity to try and get a better deal. The more professional your home looks and the more professionally it's presented, and when you're working with a high caliber agent, you're hedged against those people that try to pull the wool over your eyes or over your agent's eyes. And I'm just here to tell you that I see it all the time. When I get an offer on a property, and this, I'm just going to get on a soapbox really quickly, and then I promise we'll get back to this. But I am willing to bet, if I were to actually do the math on this, that 7 out of 10 offers that I receive on our listings are just straight up emails that are sent to me with a contract that says, please see attached and confirm receipt. Nothing has gone into presenting the offer. No call has been made to understand what the seller wants. What's more important to them? Do they want a quick closing? Are they okay with an extended closing? All these little questions that agents can ask of the other agents can help them in forming an offer and a scenario that works well for both parties. I'm just here to say that the majority of the time, that just doesn't happen. And thank God I check my email regularly, because every once in a while there's an offer in there. I'm like, oh, look at that. Someone wants to make an offer on one of my listings. That's neat. I wonder what's going on there. No pre-approval letters attached. The offer is written with mistakes in the contract. I mean, it's kind of a problem, if I'm being honest. But I also look at that as an opportunity. I then know that, okay, this agent is somebody that that should be a little more malleable than the really well-experienced agents out there. I see that as an opportunity to get what we want, because that's my job as an agent that represents a seller or a buyer. It's my job to get the best deal possible for my client. And I don't owe that other agent anything other than professionalism, ethical conduct, and legal interaction. I'm certainly not there to help them do better at their job. Now, after the sale, if they want to talk more about that, I'm happy to help. And I do that a lot in this industry, and folks know that. But while we're negotiating, it's us versus them, period. And that's how the clients want it. So, off my soapbox now, back into this conversation on what causes a home not to sell. Price, condition, marketing, motivation. We talked about motivation. Pricing, I'll tell you this. We have sold, and I'd mentioned this in the last segment, over 60% of what we sell was previously on the market with another agent before we came in, took over, and got the property sold. And so, I've got a few examples. There's a home in West Ashley. It's a $500,000 house. It was listed for a year. We took over. We sold it in 3 weeks. That property started about 20% higher than the price that we selected and sold it for. It was just overpriced. And on top of that, the marketing wasn't there. The interaction between the client and the agent was very minimal. That's one of the big issues in our industry right now. Not right now, excuse me. Since the beginning of time is communication. Man, agents and their clients just don't talk enough. And when they do talk, agents, if they know that they're not doing everything they can for their client, they're going to try and sugarcoat things. They're going to beat around the bush. I prefer to have conversations head on with people. And I tell them that on the onset, hey, I'm the type of agent that's going to tell you like it is because I want you to be informed. I want you to understand what's about to happen before it happens. I want you to get a glimpse into my mind as somebody that's been doing this for 15 years and has sold, over $500 million worth of real estate. I'm going to guide you towards success here, but I'm not going to do it in such a way that, I'm going to do it any other way than just the direct straight line to success. I don't need to beat around the bush with my clients, and they appreciate that. So when it comes to pricing, I like to get what we call belly to belly, right? Obviously, with COVID, it's not like I'm hovering over somebody's shoulder as we're showing them the comps, but I like to sit down with people and I'd like for them to see what I see when I analyze a property's value. I want to show them the comps. I want to show them the adjustments that I make rather than, so many agents will just take a few properties in a neighborhood. They'll average out the price per square foot and they say, okay, well, yeah, the average price per square foot in this area is, $200 a square foot or whatever it is. So we need to be right around there. I mean, that's a way of doing it, but it's a really lazy way of doing it. What you should be doing is looking at each individual property and comparing the characteristics of the subject property, the house you're about to sell, with all the other properties. If you have a 3-car garage and they have a 2-car garage, that's worth something. If your home is elevated and everything else is on a crawl space, that's worth something. If you've got a larger lot, if you've got lot features, if you've got more upgrades, better condition. I mean, all these things need to be taken into consideration, and they have fairly specific monetary values that you really gain an understanding of as you start doing this more and more. I mean, I've probably analyzed, well over 10,000 homes. I know value. And so I want them to get a glimpse into why I believe that home is worth that amount of money. Now, ultimately, the price is up to the seller. And if they want to try and sell it for a higher price, it's not necessarily my job to say, no, that's not going to happen. My job is to say, here's what that's going to look like. If you want to get this price, these are some of the things that we're going to need to take into consideration, which then takes us to condition. And we had another house that it was listed for 3 years with 3 different agents. We sold it in a month for full price. That was an issue of marketing and positioning. We had another one in the same neighborhood. Was on the market for 90 days, didn't sell. It was 10% overpriced. We saw that. We made the adjustment. We went straight at it, meaning we listed the property for what we thought it was worth. Boom, got an offer almost immediately, and they're closed and they're moved on, and they get to start the next chapter of their lives. And so what's really working right now, especially in this market, which you would think as a seller with very low inventory, very little competition, that it gives you the ability to push the envelope on pricing, to overprice the property, especially in an environment where prices are going up. Well, you've got the dynamics of the local real estate market, supply, demand, price, those things. But then you have the overarching economics of housing. Are people confident that they're going to be making the same or more money in the future? Are they comfortable with having a job 6 months from now? All these things get taken into consideration, which then impacts the price that they're willing to pay. There's what they can afford, and then there's what they're willing to pay. Just like for your home, there's what the market says the home is worth or what the home appraises for and what the buyer is willing to pay, and of course, what you're willing to sell it for. And so when we talk about pricing, the thing that's working really well right now is just getting that price really close to what that home is going to sell for. That's what creates the immediate sale. That's what creates multiple offers, and that's usually what creates you selling your home for the best possible price because you have competition. Really what you want that buyer to think and feel when they see your house post online for the first time is, okay, I got to go and see that property. It looks awesome. And if I don't, that home's going to sell. Or when they walk through the house, hey, let's talk about making an offer because if we don't, someone else will. And I like to use little tricks, things that I've learned over time. And I'll tell you, when we talk about creating urgency among buyers, this is a little marketing tactic. There is nothing more, the thing that creates the most urgency that I have found is stacking showings right on top of one another. So let's say that buyer number one goes and they see a house from 11 to 11:30. And then there's another buyer from 11:30 to 12. And then there's another buyer from 12 to 12:30. Well, think about the buyer that's right in the middle. If they pull up to a house and they see that that home is being shown by somebody and they have to wait to get in the door, well, that creates a little urgency. But what creates even more urgency is when they're almost done with their showing and they see that someone else is waiting right behind them. They're going to say, wow, this house is popular. We need to make some serious decisions and quickly, because obviously if we don't, somebody else will. Now, it might not be that the home is priced incredibly well and it's in perfect condition and, the marketing is there depending upon the agent that you choose. But if you can do that, if you can create an environment and a feeling that elicits urgency, that's a good thing.